Hi guys, it's Mandy here. So I have a word for you guys, which was actually quite mind blowing to me. I mean, you may think it's a very simple concept, but I found it mind blowing personally because for years I've been wondering, what's my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? What are we supposed to be doing? What are we doing on this earth and all the rest of it? And I suddenly got a bit of a revelation here, in that I was watching a lecture. And whilst listening to this lecture, the guy was talking about, how we're supposed to speak, what we're supposed to say to build each other up, not to knock each other down, and all the rest of it. And it suddenly occurred to me, what we are supposed to be doing on this earth, guys, we're supposed to be delivering God's message. Okay? The problem is we have fallen because we have forgotten our duty. When you think about it, Adam and Eve were put in the Garden of Eden to manage the garden. They were the ones who were supposed to have dominion over the garden, to look after it. And the problem arose when Eve and Adam listened to Satan, who basically said to them, you can become the owners of the garden. You can be the ones in charge. You can be the ones to enjoy the pleasures of this world without any regard for him, because you can become him. And when you think about it, that's what's happened to us. We have fallen because we have forgotten our place. We are the fallen managers of this world. We have forgotten that we are supposed to manage this world, to look after this world, not to indulge in the world. And currently, what our job is supposed to be is we are supposed to provide the message to each other. And the message, guys, is this. This is the message. You've got to look at this as a message. It's a very big message, but it's a very important message, because without that, you won't know what the owner of this world, God, is telling you to do. We have been distracted. Whilst we've been wandering through this earth, we have completely forgotten our place. We have forgotten our job. We have forgotten the message. And so God had to send Jesus down to provide the message, to remind us of what we were supposed to be doing. There are the few who still remembered their place, hence why they are called prophets, messengers, angels. I mean, when you think about it, an angel is a messenger of God. We are supposed to be messengers of God. I'm not saying we are angels per se, but the title angel, it does mean messenger. So we are supposed to be messengers to each other, to remind each other of our place, our job, and who is actually in charge. We've got to remind ourselves of that, and because we have forgotten that, and we need to remember it. Those of us who have accepted that, and who have accepted that we need to put ourselves back in the right place and to continue doing the job that we were assigned to do properly, we're supposed to go and remind others of this. And there will be those who don't want to be reminded of it because they don't want to be God's messengers. They don't want to be his servants. They don't want to be his children. They just want to indulge in their own pleasures. I look at it like this. I mean, this is my version of the story of the vineyard. It's more like you've got a hotel, right? You've got the owner of the hotel and you've got the guy who manages the hotel. We are the managers. We were the ones who were supposed to manage the hotel. Instead, we decided to start indulging in the pleasures of the hotel. And we forgot that we were the ones who were supposed to manage. We start thinking we are the owners. Oh, I'm not the manager. I'm the owner of the hotel. I can do whatever I like. Oh, I don't really like it being a hotel. I'm going to convert it into a casino. I'm going to turn it into a swimming pool or something like that. And the owner is out there still going, what are you doing? This is not what I hired you to do. You don't have the right to convert my hotel and do whatever you want. You don't have the right to trash it. You don't have the right to do that. I hired you to be a manager, to look after it. And you've distracted everyone I've hired, and you're now treating it like a casino or whatever it is, and you're trashing it, and it's not I don't want you treating my hotel like this. So the owner will send messenger after messenger after messenger in order to remind the hired people who are in the hotel of what their jobs are supposed to actually be, and to not indulge in the pleasures of the hotel, or convert it into something it's not supposed to be, or trash it, or whatever it is. You're not supposed to do that. Do the job that you were hired to do. So it seems like a really simple concept, guys, but it's actually something that I personally found really mind-blowing when I suddenly realized it, because for years I've been wondering, like, what are we supposed to be doing? What's our purpose? And it's like, when you do the job right, you're going to come up against opposition, and you're going to have people who bite back, guys. You're going to have people who bite back because they don't want to be reminded of their place. They want to carry on indulging and believing that they are the owners of the hotel and that they can just do whatever they want. They can convert it to whatever they want. They can indulge in whatever pleasures they want. And it's bad. It's bad. So if you want to be a true servant of God, then you've got to remember what your mission is. Your mission is to remind the other servants of what they are supposed to be doing. And yeah, they will bite back. Some of them will be more willing to listen. Others will be less willing to listen. Some will be aggressive. Some will be violent. But if you trust God, if you truly trust God, then you won't be afraid. You won't be afraid of their responses, especially when you know the message. If you know this really well, then you will have all the information you need to answer their retorts. You know, a lot of them will throw rhetorical retorts at you and questions at you to try and catch you out. But if you know that book well enough, if you know your message well enough, you can answer them with anything. And if any of you have been watching Charlie Kirk and his debates at university, you'll know that when he delivered the message and he answered the questions with truth, 100% of the time, his opposition couldn't answer the questions. I mean, you think about that. That's why that kid shot him in the end, was because he hated the fact that his party could never come up with a really good response. So his only way to get the messenger to go away and to leave them alone was to shut him up permanently by killing him. That was the only way he could get him to leave them alone, so that they could be left to carry on indulging in their ridiculous delusions and fantasies and lies. That's why they shot him. And if you know your word, you will be able to stand up to these people and you won't be afraid. This is the thing. For years I was afraid of speaking to people. I was afraid to do a lot of things. Like doing this, even just talking to a camera, terrified me. Hence the reason why for ages I didn't make videos. I got overwhelmed by fear. And this is the thing. When you get overwhelmed by fear, it will stop you from doing the job that you were supposed to do. And when you think about it, you have a day-to-day job right now, probably. If you have a day-to-day job, you'll know what I'm talking about. So you have a day-to-day job where you have a boss, right? And if that boss says to you, I want you to deliver this package to whatever destination, put it in the hands of this person. If you, as that employer's employee, you've got the package in your hands, you set off, and you suddenly get distracted by a load of shops, people standing on the street waving at you. You're walking along and these things are waving at you. You know, you've got all the lights from the shops and the casinos and all the rest of it. And, you know, you've got brothels, you've got prostitutes, you've got all this parties going on, pubs, clubs, and all the rest of it, as you're walking through the street with this parcel, and suddenly something catches your eye and you go, ooh, maybe I'll just have a quick look over here, right? So that's what happens, is you just go, I've got this parcel I need to deliver, but I'll just take 5 minutes and I'll just go over here and check this out. And then that distracts you long enough that you forget your parcel and you start looking at other things. Oh, I'll just go over here and I'll check this out. Oh, that's fun. Let me go over here and I'll check that out. Oh, I'll go over here and check that out. Oh, I can buy this. Oh, I can buy that. I can do this. I can do that. You suddenly forget your mission. You imagine doing that in your actual job. You'd be fired in an instant. Your boss would be so angry with you. You'd lose your job. But imagine that, knowing that, and saying, I don't care. I don't care if I lose my job. I've got all this. And it's like, how long can this sustain you before you actually need to go back to your job? Because you need the provisions. You need your paycheck from your boss. Otherwise, you can't live. If you spend your whole time spending and indulging, you're not going to be gaining anything. So, yeah, you might have a load of stuff, but eventually your bank is going to become empty. You're not going to be able to buy anything more. And what you have in your hands, yeah, it's going to be momentarily pleasurable, but eventually that pleasure will run out. And because you have lost your job, you're not going to be able to earn more money in order to continue your pleasurable lifestyle, because you forgot your mission, which was to take the parcel to person B, because you got distracted by all these flashy things. And you've got to ask yourself, what is more important? Momentary pleasure or doing the job? Do you want to please your boss so that you can gain what he will give you, so that you can live a good life? Because that's what's happening, guys, is that we've completely forgotten the fact that God is our boss, essentially. God is the boss. And he is providing you with what you need in order to live a good life. But you have forgotten all of that in order to indulge in pleasures here and there, and then you waste your bank account. You waste the money that's in your bank account, and you end up penniless and unable to enjoy all this stuff. And then the stuff that you currently have, it ends up worthless because you were like, been there, done that, had that. I don't really feel anything anymore. I feel numb. I feel bored. And because you've forgotten your purpose. So if you think this makes sense to you guys, then maybe just take some time and consider, what are you overindulging in that is a distraction to the job that God is asking you to do? If we are all his messengers and we're meant to save each other by delivering the message to each other, ask yourself, what is distracting me from this job? Where am I allowing my personal pleasure to take me away from my duty? Do I know the message well enough? Who am I supposed to be delivering the message to, even? You know, not everyone is supposed to be like Charlie Kirk. Yeah, everyone's like, I wish I could be like Charlie Kirk and talk to people with that much verve, or I could be like Sam Shimon and talk, have a go at the Muslims and that sort of, with that strength and power and knowledge and stuff. And it's like, guys, they were selected to do those particular jobs. You may not be selected to be the person to go out there and to do that. I mean, if you want to do that, ask God. Ask and pray to God for the strength and the knowledge and the wisdom to be able to do that. But you have to do a lot of work to get there. You have to do a lot of work to get there. Sam and Charlie Kirk are not stupid. They're not stupid people who just know the Bible, okay? They don't just know the Bible. They know the opposite side of the spectrum as well. They know what the other side are believing in as well. They know what the opposite believe. They have a lot of knowledge from the other side as well, so that they can combat it. You have to know both sides if you want to be a messenger of God like that. Being a messenger of God and a teacher of the word is a very important role, but you have to accept that maybe you're not going to be the ones on the front lines hitting the hardest balls. You're not the one at the front lines. Maybe you're going to be in the back office teaching the youngsters. And if that's what you're assigned to do, then do that with pride. Pride. Shouldn't really do it with pride. But do it happily and do it for God. Do it for God because he did so much for you. He's done everything for you. He's provided you with everything. And you should be grateful to him for that. You should be so grateful that you should be willing to do this. Don't just do it out of a desire to get back at the other side because, they killed Charlie Kirk. It's no. Do it because you want to deliver the message. You want to deliver the message because God has done something amazing for you. And you want to be happy, and you want to find peace, and you want to be brave. If you want to be brave, then you've got to face your fears, and you've got to accept that letting go of personal indulgence is important in order for you to do the job that you were hired to do. Stop indulging in self-pleasures. Let go of the distractions. And that can mean letting go of family, letting go of friends, letting go of a career, an earthly career, and spending time. You've got to spend time studying this, as well as studying whatever the opposition is going to be throwing at you, because you've got to know what kind of questions they're going to throw at you, or what kind of arguments they're going to throw at you. So you need to be able to reply. You always reply with the word. You got to remember that. Always reply with the word. And so you've also got to be aware of the dangers that they may know the word. They may know the word, and they will use it to contradict you. You know, you got to remember what Satan did with Jesus in the desert. But when he tempted Jesus in the desert, he used scripture. He used scripture. And so many times you see it all over the place. If you watch Charlie Kirk's debates, or if you know Cliff Knechtley, he does a lot of debates on college campuses as well. And a lot of the times people will throw scripture back at them to say, oh, it contradicts it here, it doesn't mean that there, and you know, they will start using scripture to back up their arguments, and then you've got to be able to say, no, that's not what that means. Because a lot of the time they'll use scripture and twist it to mean something that it doesn't actually mean, just so that they can justify their position. And you've got to be able to understand what the text is actually saying, and you've got to be able to educate them. And not just for the person who you're talking to's sake, but for the people who are surrounding the person who are listening to you. Because even if the person you're talking to is rejecting the message and walks away and never wants to see or hear from you again, and they hate you, whatever, there may be people in the crowd that are listening to that debate who suddenly go, that makes a lot of sense. I didn't know that. I thought I agreed with that other person, but now that I've heard it from this preacher or teacher in the true sense, I can understand it properly and I can agree with it. You will probably catch people without realizing you're catching them. So it's very important for you to know your place, know what the message is, and know how to use the message and how to deliver it. And to not be afraid. When you walk in truth, guys, everything will fall into place and it will make so much sense to you. You will put on the armor of God, as it says. If you put the belt of truth on, the armor of God will fall into place. Because you will suddenly start finding your understanding of truth makes more sense than anything else. And we're not talking about your truth, because your truth is what you've made up in your own head. We're talking about the truth. The truth that God states is truth, because there is no one above God, guys. You've got to remember that. There is no one above God, which means that if he's the absolute top, then what he declares to be true is true. It is the truth. You cannot get above that. You can make up a load of nonsense if you want to. You know, if you want to lower the bar of truth just for yourself, to claim that, you know, oh, there's nothing wrong with me indulging in the lifestyle that I indulge in, then fine. Lower the standard if you want to, but that's not the truth. That's a truth that you've made up for yourself just so you can justify indulging in a lifestyle that's unhealthy for you. I mean, listen to the way they argue about abortion. They'll say things like, oh, it's just a clump of cells. That is lowering the standard of truth, lowering the bar of truth from the truth to, I just want to believe this, so that way it's easier for me to justify killing a child. That's what they're doing. They're trying to justify their belief that killing a baby is acceptable, because if I just don't admit that it's a baby, if I just look at it, if I detach myself from it, kind of like a psychopath detaching themselves from any human being so that they can then drag them around the back alley and kill them. If you detach from that reality, it makes it easier to do the thing. If you devalue a human being, it makes it that much easier to kill the life. And that's what they're doing. They are lowering the bar of truth to justify their desire to kill a child so that they can continue to indulge in a lifestyle. Because they don't want the hassle and the inconvenience of a baby. Or they're too busy thinking that if a mother is raped and she ends up pregnant, she should kill that baby because the baby will be a horrible reminder of the rape. Yes, it may be a reminder of the rape, but the joy that that woman will have in raising that child will far outweigh the pain of the memory. It will far outweigh the pain of the memory. And that's the sad thing, is that a lot of people sort of look at children and go, they're such an inconvenience. Oh, I don't have the money. How can I afford to do this? I can't afford to do that. I won't be able to have more children. There are people out there who have advocated for anti-abortion because of the fact that they feel hurt that they could have had a sibling, but they were denied that chance to have a sibling because their mother thought, I don't want to have another child. Oh, it's going to be such a problem. I don't have the money. I can't. It's all this sort of me. It's going to be an inconvenience to me, my bank account, my lifestyle. One was enough. I don't want to have another one. No consideration for the fact that it would actually affect the other child to know that they lost the opportunity for a sibling because the mother was just like, it's too much of an inconvenience to me. And not to mention the fact that how many men have lost the opportunity to be a father when they wanted to be a father because the woman was like, I don't want to go through the inconvenience of pregnancy. I don't want to have to go through the pain of childbirth. I don't want to have to go through that. And I think they do it also because they're afraid. They're afraid that if they go through that, they will develop that bond with that baby and then they will be stuck with that child. That's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of being stuck with the child because they will have developed that bond with the child. So they don't want to have that bond. They want to kill the child before they develop that bond so that it's not an inconvenience to them. But they completely disregard the fact that the boyfriend or the husband might want that child. I'm the woman, I get to make the decision. I don't care about how you feel about it. I remember watching a video and it was absolutely heartbreaking, guys. Absolutely heartbreaking to see a man outside the doors of an abortion clinic screaming and banging on the doors for the girl to not kill his baby. Because he wanted the child. He wanted the child. And this is the other thing. People are disregarding the male perspective. They're completely disregarding men as having a right to want to have a child. Oh, the woman gets all the rights. And how many men? I've seen so many of those TV court cases, kind of like the Judge Judy things. I don't know what the other judges are called. Where, there's a black woman who does parental things, like who's the actual father and that sort of thing. I don't know her name, but, I've seen a lot of clips from it. And it's so sad when you see some men in that courtroom. You can see the hope in their eyes that the baby is theirs, so that they can be the father, so that they can continue being the father. They can care for the baby because they love that baby. And the mothers are like standing on the other side, hoping that they're not the father. And it's like they don't care about the heartbreak of this man because all they want to do is either be a single mother because woman power, feminism and all that stuff. it's powerful to be a single mother and all that nonsense. Or because they want to then take the responsibility and dump it on somebody else. And this man's like, I want the responsibility. I want to love this child. And it's really sad the way when some men hear that the baby is not theirs, they break down in tears. They are absolutely distraught. And it's not about whether the baby is yours. Even if the baby isn't yours, they're still heartbroken, not because the baby isn't their biological baby, but because of the fact that they will never be permitted to see that child again because it's not their biological child. It means that the mother has the right to now walk away with the child and never see you again. And that's the tragedy. That is a tragedy, guys. And even when they find out that the child is theirs, they'll break down in joy. They will break down in joy to know that the child is theirs. This is a perspective, guys, we need to remember. Men have the right to be involved in a child's life. And the decision to keep that child should also be on them as well. If they are going to be standing outside the doors of an abortion clinic screaming and banging on those doors and crying because they want that child to live, we should give them the right to that life. That life should have the right to stay alive, if not for the mother's sake, for the father's sake. It's not fair on the men. Women are so self-centered at times. They're so self-centered. It's my body, it's my right. I have the right to decide whether or not this thing lives inside of me. It's so self-centered. It's heartbreaking for the men. It's heartbreaking for the children who don't get to have a sibling as well, because their parent thought, I don't want to have a child. I'm not ready for a child. I can't afford it. They're so wrapped up in the I can't mindset that they completely disregard the side effects, the long-term side effects of getting rid of this child. It's kind of sick, guys. It's sad, it's tragic. And that's just one argument, guys. I could go on forever about other things as well. But that was just one argument that, Charlie Kirk was facing. And going back to my original point is the fact that we are meant to highlight these truths. As God's messengers, we are meant to highlight these truths to people who have fallen from the wayside and forgotten their jobs, forgotten their duty. So if that helped you to understand your place in this world, then I think you need to make a step forward in terms of, if you don't have a Bible, go out and buy a Bible and read it. Study the message. This is the message, guys. You have to study this in order to be able to convey it. And remember, God's truth is the truth because there is no one above him. We are below him. We're below the angels, guys. We're below the angels. We have a duty just as much as they do. We have a job to do. And if you want to do that job, you have to know what that job is, and you have to know what the message is, and you have to know what God's truth is. Know his word and convey it to people, even if you don't think they want to hear it. Convey that message. And don't get distracted by the flashy lights of the world and the pleasures of the world. That's the point. Don't get distracted by all of that. That's why Jesus had nothing. That's why Jesus said, go out there with nothing. Because if you are capable of letting go of all of this, guys, in order to just dedicate yourself to this and conveying that message to everyone else, brilliant. Not saying that you should become a homeless pauper. Certainly not saying that. But just keep the perspective. Keep the perspective of the fact that you are not living on this planet just to indulge in all this materialism or to indulge in your physical pleasures. It's like, oh, it's nice to feel this. Yes, it's nice to feel that. But if you spend your whole life going, you're not going to get anything done. So if you want to do God's will and you want to be his messenger, then know the message and go out there and deliver it. And don't be afraid, because if you know the truth and you know how to combat the lies, you will be absolutely fine. You'll be absolutely fine. You'll become like Charlie Kirk. I'm not saying you're going to be Charlie Kirk, but you will become like him in terms of the strength and the passion will come. And you will have confidence in what you're saying because you will know that it's true. And you will know that what the opposition is saying is a lie. And you know that by delivering this message, you are going to save somebody from a dead life, an empty life, a pointless and worthless life that gains them nothing. So that's what you're supposed to be doing. Yes, you can have a job in order to earn money so that you can provide for yourself and your family so that you don't starve. But ultimately, you've got to remember, none of the rest of it matters, guys. We're only on this earth for a short while. Do the job that you were sent to do. Know the message. Know the truth, not your truth. Know your place, know your job, and go out there and do it with faith. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there, guys. So I'll see you in the next video, guys. Hope this helped inform you. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.